It began with a small headache. 24-year-old Brenda Robinson dismissed the pain, blaming it on fatigue. The last thing she remembers was sitting down for dinner at her sister's.
When I come to myself, I said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Did we eat dinner?" And she said, "Yes, we had dinner, but it was 2 weeks." She said, "It's been 2 weeks ago since that dinner." She said, "You've had probably about 100 seizures, grand mal, epileptic seizures in 2 weeks." I started to move, and I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. And she said, "Your speech has even been paralyzed." She said, "You've tried to talk to us for 2 weeks and you couldn't talk because the seizures, paralyzed your speech."
2 weeks, including several visits to the hospital, had vanished from her memory. She was diagnosed with grand mal epilepsy, which brought on violent, debilitating seizures. The seizures were difficult for her whole family, including her husband, Dan.
5 or 6 men couldn't hold her down when she was having one, because it was almost like she was super strong because her muscles and all would be so tense.
The doctor that Brenda saw had told her that a bruise on her brain was causing the seizures. According to him, Brenda would never heal.
They told my husband that I would die at the age of 30, that my heart would not hold up to the convulsions, nor my kidneys. And so they literally said that at the age of 30, she will die.
Brenda longed to live a normal life. Instead, she lived in fear, never knowing what would set off the next seizure.
She could drop something and just fear would run all over me, or a door could shut and fear would just run all over me that I wasn't there, maybe to catch her, or she was having a seizure, or she was hurting herself, or something like that. And I lived for 6 years in fear.
Brenda says she lost all hope.
Do you know what it's like to watch your 2 children sit on the floor and them babies, and I'm watching them and I don't even know their names because it takes my memory? Do you know what it's like to convulse and hurt from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet and not be able to move?
She could only think of one solution: suicide.
I sat down at my table with my bottle of pills, with my tablet and my pen to write, and a bottle of water, and I was going to write down a note, and I had it set up to where the only one that would find me would be Dan.
But Brenda never even got the chance to write the suicide letter.
And as I sat down to write, they didn't knock. They bursted in my front door. My mother and my sister walked in, and my mother had her Bible in her hand, and she slammed it on the table, and she looked at me, and she said, "The Lord woke me up in the wee hours of the morning and told me that you think today is your death day." She said, "But this is not your death day." She said, "This is the day that you start living."
Brenda's mother prayed with her, and Brenda rededicated her life to Christ.
Inside of me, an audible voice spoke and said, "You're healed. The hindrance is gone." I knew that God had healed me. I knew it was His voice.
Brenda was 30 years old when she heard God's voice and the seizure stopped, the same age doctors said she would never live to see. Brenda now has a new doctor.
In the 9 years I've known her, we've had no seizure activity and no treatment for the seizure activity.
I still have people to this day waiting to see me have a seizure. It will never happen. It will never happen. Because what God does, He does permanently.